sound. Bing. Are you there? Yes, I am here. Make sure my light thing is good. Light. Oh, yes. Hi. Making sure I got the Boopmeister. Yep, there we go. It's 1:29. Well, it's 1:30 now, isn't it? Are you there? There you all are. Hi. So, I had to, go through my entire closet. Hello, Amy, hello, to find a blouse that I have not already worn 17 times. I was like, I have other clothes. Look, it's from France. Isn't it pretty with the red with the white flowers? So, hi, Bill. Yay. So there you go. We're almost done. Almost done. Happy Golden Years. I am going to read you 2 chapters, Summer Storm and the Sunset on the Hill, which are really cool. Really cool. They're almost get a little heavy because it's like Mary and Laura's last walk. And people die in the storm one because it's Little House on the Prairie, so like blizzards and things and death. And then it's going to be Manly Monday tomorrow because it's wedding plans, haste to the wedding, and then the wedding. So we'll make Dean do that. So today is Sunday. And today is Sunday, the cookie crumbs in my mouth. The 12th Sunday. Well, it says here that it's National Simplicity Day. It's like fine print. It's National Simplicity Day. I'm very simple. It is National Different Colored Eyes Day. I can't help you there. I have the same color eyes. That's David Bowie. David Bowie had different color eyes. People said it was because he was a space alien. He's really from Mars, but it was because he got hit in the head as a kid. These things happen. Okay. National Pecan Pie Day. I actually went out last night, and it was Mojito Day, so we went out and got some rum and some mint leaves and made mojitos. But I looked all over the supermarket for a pecan pie and for even pecans, and it's a seasonal thing. Pecan pie is a thing that people eat in November. October, November, December, Christmas, Thanksgiving, fall. And what that thing is, the Pecan Pie Day was because, the board of pecan growers, pecan salespeople said, we've got to find some way in the off-season to get somebody somewhere to eat a pecan pie. So they had National Pecan Pie Day in July. But it didn't work because there weren't any pecan. I'd have bought one, but there weren't any because they don't have this. Paper Bag Day. Paper Bag Day is good. I have a paper bag. Why do I have it? This is, first of all, paper bags are great. You can make things out of them, blah, blah. But here's why they're good. Plastic bags, and we're all like, oh, plastic bag. Blah, blah, blah. I mean, you can reuse plastic bags over and over again so that they're not some ecological disaster. But a paper bag, you can use it. When I am at the store, if there is a choice, and they say, oh, paper or plastic, I go, oh, can I have paper? Because, first of all, I find them easier to actually, those plastic ones tend to break when I'm carrying stuff. These are good. You can reuse them for things. You can make it, you can cut them out, you can wrap packages in them, but recycling. So I'm in California. It's like goody, recycle. So we have a thing of paper that we are done with, that we recycle that. But it winds up in a stack. Well, you go throw that in your recycling bin, it's all over the place. So what do? Oh, what do you wind up doing? You put it in a plastic trash bag with a plastic trash bag. And the plastic doesn't break down, and it's a prop. Put the recycling paper in a paper bag. And then it can all be recycled. The other thing is should you even just fling this into the trash or the litter, it's paper. It's going to decompose. It's going to break down. It's not like what they're talking. Oh, plastic bags. They got thousands of years in a landfill. I don't know, but they definitely aren't breaking down this week. Plastic bags do take a long time to break down. This thing, I don't know, days, weeks. Yeah, it's wood. So paper bags are good environmentally, but they're also really handy. You can use them. I put things that they fold up neatly. They have many uses. You can make, the toys, the games, the costumes. You cut 2 holes in it. You can paste things all over it, and it's all sorts of costumes and toys. I really dig paper bags. And if you put a plastic bag over your head, you can die. If you put a paper bag over your head, you're going to be able to breathe. So paper bags and the paper bag commercial lady. I don't know. I love paper bags. Paper bags are great and have many uses. And yeah, they kind of are better than plastic bags. Unless you're trying to keep off the rain, then I guess So there's uses for both. And they both can be unknown comic. The unknown comic. Do you remember the unknown comic? I actually met the guy who's the unknown comic. Paper bag guy had a whole career out of a paper bag. So we love paper bags. Paper bag day. Different colored eyes day, simplicity day. Is it paper bag day? Where are we at? Simplicity day, different colored eye days, pecan pie day, paper bag day, eat your Jello day. Whoa, where's my? I hold this up. It is empty because I have Jello in the fridge. I love Jello. This is, you can get sugar-free Jello, sugar-free raspberry Jello. So if you don't want to eat fancy heavy desserts, you get a little sugar-free Jello. There you go. I got some in the fridge right now. Collector car appreciation day, which changes annually. Wow. I used to have a 1957 Ford Ranchero pickup. Just saying. But there you go. So that's all our days there. I've talked about Jello and paper bags. I have some milk. I had do you remember I said I had chocolate chip cookies? This is the chocolate chip cookies from yesterday. But I also have peanut butter cookies. With chocolate chips, I made peanut butter cookies. Very good. And now, summer storm. Oh, did you guys see Melissa Gilbert? She was on CBS this morning, getting interviewed. She was out on her farm. She's on her farm in upstate New York with her chickens in her garden and her little crops and in her little skirt clumping around like she's Ma Ingalls in the garden. And she got interviewed and she was adorable. And I put it up my page. But yes, Melissa Gilbert is chattering away about the prairie in her little prairie skirt with her chickens and her garden. Hilarious. Summer storm. Ooh, tornado, scary. Danger, trigger warning, terrible, violent, terrible things. The storm on the prairie. The heat was intense that week. Oh, it's like right now. Do you know in California we're having a big thing? There's like what Palm Springs, I don't know, it's like 120. It's 100 and something here. I don't know. I don't even want to go outside. I don't know. Intense that week. And in church on Sunday morning. Oh, see, it's Sunday. It's Sunday and hot. It's like now. It's right now. It's summer, and it's Sunday, and it's hot. And they're doing it in the book. Ooh. Church on Sunday morning, Laura gasped for air. Shimmering heat waves quivered upward outside the windows, and the fitful little breezes were hot. That's terrible. When church was over, Almanzo was waiting outside to take Laura home. As he helped her into the buggy, he said, "Your mother asked me to dinner, and afterward we will exercise these horses again. It will be hot this afternoon," he said in the buggy, "but driving will be pleasanter than sitting in the house, if it doesn't storm." "My feathers are sewed on tight," Laura laughed, "so let the wind blow." She's like Mrs. Oleson now. She's got ostrich feathers in her hat. I just have a bonnet. See, this will stay on. It is tied, and it's red matches. She has ostrich feathers, and says she has to make sure they're sent on to her hat, and they are now. Soon after Ma's good Sunday dinner, they set out driving southward over the gently rolling, endless prairie. The sun shone fiercely, and even in the shade of the swiftly moving buggy top, the heat was oppressive. Instead of flowing smoothly and cool, the breeze came in warm puffs. The shimmering heat waves made a silvery appearance that retreated before them on the road ahead, like water, and phantom winds played in the grasses, twisting them in frantic writhings and passing on, up and away. Oh, like little dirt devils, mini tornadoes. After a time, dark clouds began to gather in the northwest, and the heat grew still more intense. Oh, that's not good. "This is a queer afternoon. I think we better go home," Almanzo said. And he's right, because it's that hot, and you start getting those weird clouds and the weird little winds where the things are starting to do this. Like, get out. Go home. Go in the basement. Go in the basement. Dorothy! I can tell. "Yes, let's do, and hurry," Laura urged. "I don't like the way this weather feels." The black mass of clouds was rising quickly as Almanzo turned the horses toward home. He stopped them and gave the reins to Laura. "Hold them while I put on the buggy curtains. It's gonna rain." Quickly, behind the buggy, he unbuttoned the straps that held the top's back curtains rolled up. He let it unroll and buttoned it at the sides and bottom, tightly closing in the back of the buggy. Then, From under the seat, he brought out the two side curtains and buttoned them along the tops and sides, the sides of the buggy top, closing them in. He's got a convertible. It's got like the roof and the thing. That's very clever. It turns into a camper. Then, back in his seat, he unrolled the rubber storm apron. This buggy has everything. This buggy is like amazing in all these parts. The rubber storm apron, and set the pleat in its bottom edge over the top of the dashboard where it fitted snugly. Laura admired the cleverness of the storm apron. I'm admiring the cleverness of the storm apron. That's great. There was a slot in it that fitted over the whip socket, so the whip stood in its place. There was a slit through which Almanzo passed the lines. He could hold them in his hands under the storm apron, and a flap fell over the slit to keep the rain from coming in. So you stay dry. It's a whole thing, but there's your little like whip and your reins, but you're all covered, and the reins pop out so you don't get drenched in a buggy full of water. Very smart. I'm very amazing. The apron was so wide, it came down to the buggy box on either side, and it buttoned up the side, the frames of the buggy top. So they're like in a little pouch. They're a little pouch in the buggy, completely protected from the rain. Almanzo is so smart. I'm just, pimp my buggy. Yes, his buggy is totally pinned out. I'm very impressed. All this was done quickly, I'll bet. In a moment or two, Lord Almanzo were snugly sheltered in a box of rubber curtains. No rain could come through the apron, the curtains, nor the buggy top overhead. Along the edge of the storm apron that was as high as their chins, they could look out. It came all the way up to their chins. The whole buggy sealed up the back and sides, and then this whole rubber apron comes right up here. Clever. As Almanzo took the lines from Laura and started the horses, he said, "Now let it rain." "Yes," Laura said, "if it must. But maybe we can beat the storm home." Almanzo was already urging the team. They went swiftly, but even more swiftly. The black cloud rose, rolling and rumbling in the sky. Laura and Almanzo watched it in silence. The whole earth seemed silent and motionless in terror. The sound of the horses' fast-trotting feet and the tiny creaks of the speeding buggy seemed small in the stillness. The swelling great mass of clouds writhed and wrestled, twisting together as if in fury and agony. Flickers of red lightning stabbed through them. Oh dear. Still in the air was motionless, and there was no sound. The heat increased. Laura's bangs were damp with perspiration and uncurled on her forehead. Oh no. It ruined her hair. While trickles ran down her cheeks and her neck, Almanzo urged on the horses. Sounds like Florida, when it gets like superhuman, the big storm. Almost overhead now, the trembling, swirling clouds changed from black to a terrifying greenish purple. Dude, if you see the clouds turn green and purple, y'all go home. I don't know what that is. That's aliens. Aliens are landing. You should get off the street. They seemed to draw themselves together, then a grouping finger slowly came out them and stretched down, trying to reach the earth. It reached and pulled itself up and reached again. Oh, that's not good. How far away is that? Laura asked. 10 miles, I'd say. Almanzo replied. It was coming toward them. You know what that is? The clouds? Suddenly part of the cloud comes and touches the ground. Dorothy! Get in the basement. NEM. It was coming toward them from the northwest as they sped toward the northeast. No horses, however fast they ran, could outrun the speed of these clouds. He can't really outrun a tornado. People try to outrun tornadoes in trucks, and they can't do it. They're in a buggy. Green and purple rolled in the sky above the helpless prairie and reached toward it playfully as a cat's paw torments a mouse. Ooh. A second point came groping down behind the first, then another. All three reached and withdrew and reached again down from the writhing clouds. This is like a tornado cluster. This isn't like a tornado. This is like a bunch of tornadoes. That's horrible. Drink my milk. Them. They all turned a little toward the south, one after another quickly. All 3 points touched the earth under the cloud mass, and traveling swiftly with it, they passed behind the buggy to the west and went on southward. A terrific wind blew suddenly, so strong that the buggy swayed, but the storm had passed. Laura drew a long, shaking breath. If we had been home, Pa would have sent us down cellar, she said, and I would have been glad to go, she added. We'd have needed a cellar if the storm had come our way. I never did run to a cyclone cellar, but if I ever meet a cloud like that, I will, Almanzo admitted. The wind abruptly changed. It blew from the southwest and brought a sudden cold with it. Hail, Almanzo said. Yes, said Laura. Somewhere hail had fallen from that cloud. Everyone at home was glad to see them. Laura had never seen Ma so pale, nor so thankful. Pa said they had shown good judgment, turning back when they did. That storm is doing bad damage, he said. It's a good idea out here in this country to have a cellar, said Almanzo. He asked Pa what Pa thought about driving out across country where the storm had passed to see if anyone needed help. So Laura was left at home and Pa and Almanzo drove away. That's very nice of them, because it's kind of dangerous, but if they go where it's passed, there could be people injured. Absolutely. Though the storm was gone and the day was now clear, still they were nervous. The afternoon passed and Laura had changed into her weekday clothes and with Carrie's help had done the chores before Pa and Almanzo came back, and Ma set a cold supper on the table, and while they ate, they told what they had seen in the path of the storm. One settler not far south of town had just finished threshing his wheat crop from 100 acres. It had been a splendid crop that would have paid all his debts and left money in the bank. He and the threshers had been working that day to finish the job, and he was on a straw stack when they saw the storm coming. He had just sent his 2 young boys to return a wagon he had borrowed from a neighbor to help in the threshing. He'd gotten to his cyclone cellar just in time. The storm carried away his grain, straw stacks, and machinery. Wagon, stables, and house. Everything. Nothing was left but his bare claim. The threshing machine had big metal tractor things. Gone. The 2 boys on the mules had disappeared completely. But just before Pa and Almanzo reached the place, the older boy had come back. Stark naked. Yes, he was 9 years old. He said he and his brother were riding the mules home, running, when the storm struck them. It lifted them all together and carried them around in a circle in the air while still harnessed together side by side. They were whirled around faster and faster and higher until he began to get dizzy, and he shouted to his little brother to hold on tight to his mule. That's like the scene in The Wizard of Oz. People are going by in like wagons and on horses, and it actually happens. Just then, the air filled thickly with whirling straw and darkened so he could see nothing. He felt a jerk of the harness breaking apart, and then he must have fainted. For the next thing he knew, he was alone in clear air. He could not see the ground beneath him. He was being carried around in a circle, all the time sinking a little, until finally he was not far above the earth. He tried to spring up to get his feet under him, then struck the ground running, ran a little way, and fell. After lying there a few moments to rest, he got up and made his way home. He had come to the ground a little more than a mile from his father's claim. A mile. He was carried a mile and was still alive. There was not a shred of clothing left on him. Even his high-lace boots had disappeared. But he was not hurt at all. It was a mystery how his boots had been taken from his feet without so much as bruising them. Neighbors were searching far and wide for the other boy and the mules, but not a trace could be found of them. There could be hardly a hope that they were alive. Still, if that door came through, Almanzo said. What door? Carrie wanted to know. That was the strangest thing Pa and Almanzo had seen that day. It happened at another settler's claim, far to the south. Everything had been stripped clean off his place, too. When this man and his family came up from their cyclone cellar, 2 bare spots were all that were left of stable and house. Oxen, wagon, tools, chickens. Everything was gone. They had nothing but the clothes they wore and 1 quilt that his wife had snatched to wrap around the baby in the cellar. This man said to Pa, I'm a lucky man. I didn't have a crop to lose. They had just moved on to the claim only that spring, and he had been able to put in only a few sod potatoes. That afternoon, about sunset, as Pa and Almanzo were coming back from searching for the lost boy, they came by this place and stopped for a moment. The homesteader and his family had been gathering boards and bits of lumber the storm had dropped, and he was figuring out how much more he would have to get to build them any kind of shelter. While they stood considering this, one of the children noticed a small dark object high in the clear sky overhead. It didn't look like a bird, but appeared to be growing larger. They all watched it. For some time it fell slowly toward them, and then they saw it was a door. It came gently down before them. It was the front door of the man's vanished claim shanty. It was in perfect condition, not injured at all, not even scratched. The wonder was where it had been all those hours, and that it had come slowly down from a clear sky directly over the place where the claim shanty had been. "I never saw a man more chirked up than he was," said Pa. "Now he doesn't have to buy a door for his new shanty. It even came back with the hinges on it." They were all amazed. In all their lives, none of them ever heard of a stranger thing, the return of that door. It was awesome to think how far, how high it must have gone in the air during all those hours. "It's a queer country out here," Pa said. "Strange things happen." "Yes," said Ma. "I'm thankful that so far they don't happen to us." The next week, Pa heard in town that the bodies of the lost boy and the mules had been found the next day. Every bone in them was broken. The clothing had been stripped from the boy and the harnesses from the mules. No scrap of clothing or harness was ever found. That was terrifying. Okay. My father used to scare me silly with his stories because my father grew up, on the prairie. My father, that's him back there. My dad grew up on a farm in Saskatchewan, near Regina, Saskatchewan. Mozart town, called Mozart, was the big town. And Mozart's like this big, and that was town. So it was totally prairie like this. And he was out in Saskatchewan on a farm in the middle of nowhere, and tornadoes, and lightning, and ball lightning, and the whole bit, and the blizzards, and they had the locusts, they did the locusts, you name it, they did it. Everything that happened. He used to say, I can't watch Little House on the Prairie. I already did this. I lived this. I don't need to watch a show. The whole bit. And he told me about tornadoes. He said, no, it's crazy. They would see like a piece of straw driven into a tree, like an oak tree, just driven into the bark of a tree. Tiny objects rammed into things. Huge things would disappear. He said he saw tornadoes. They would get in the cellar, remembers like that. But as you'd like turn around and see, there's the neighbor's entire grain silo. It's gone now. Lightning. He said, remember sleeping on the porch and peeking through the lightning and watching the lightning through the screen on the porch and going, look, there's lightning. That was the neighbor's barn. And he said things just poof, gone, things disappear. And you'd come out after a tornado and just everything was gone. But it would do weird things. It would spare because it would jump all around. He said there would be a whole building would just disappear as if it never existed. And right next to it, another building would be untouched as if it hadn't even rained or been windy. And they would find animals and people miles away. People would get sucked into an arm and be dropped down, injured. Other times, virtually unharmed, or they would find their bodies miles away. It was very, very dangerous, and it was just crazy. But tornadoes were totally unpredictable. You didn't know where they were going to hit. You didn't know if they were going to skip your house. They would suck people and animals and cows and horses and everything up, and sometimes your cow would get put down unharmed, or other times every bone in their body broken. You didn't know. So, yeah, stuff like this happened all the time. Yikes! So, yeah, that one kid survived a tornado, very rare, unharmed. And the other kid, well, not so much. Scary. So now, sunset on the hill. Hopefully no one dies in this one. One Sunday, Laura did not go driving, for it was Mary's last day at home. She was going back to college next day. The weather was so very warm that at breakfast, Ma said she believed she would not go to church. Not go to church. Too hot to go to church. Heavy. Carrie and Grace would stay at home with her, while Laura and Mary went with Pa in the wagon. Pa was waiting for them when they came from the bedroom, ready to go. Laura was again in her sprigged pale pink lawn dress and her new hat with the ostrich tips, now sewed on really tightly. Mary's dress was a blue lawn. Again with the dresses. Mary's dress was a blue lawn with small white flowers scattered over it. Her hat was a white straw sailor with a blue ribbon band. Beneath its brim, in back of her hair, was a great mass of twisted gold, and golden bangs curled richly on her forehead, down her eyes as blue as her ribbons. She The golden hair and the blue, oh well, kind of like this, but Mary had a lot more. She had big masses of golden hair and a big hat with a big blue ribbon. That'd be pretty. Pa looked at them for a moment. His eyes shone and his voice was proud as he exclaimed in mock dismay, "Jerusalem crickets, Caroline! I'm not spruce enough to bow two such fine-looking young ladies to church." He looked nice, too, in his black suit, with the black velvet collar on his coat, his white shirt, and dark blue tie. Now, imagine Pa on our show wearing a velvet collar. Things have really changed. I'm telling you. The wagon was waiting. Before he dressed, Pa had combed and brushed the two farm horses and spread a clean horse blanket on the wagon seat. The team drowsed while Pa carefully helped Mary up over the wheel and gave his hand to Laura. Over their laps they spread the light dust robe, and carefully Laura tucked its edges well around her full-gathered, tucked-long skirt. Then in the sunshine and hot wind, slowly they rode to church. That sort of answers the question, how did they keep all that stuff clean? People wore these elaborate dresses out on the prairie in the 1800s, where there's dust and everything, so they had these blankets. They just wrapped themselves up when they got in the wagon. It was so crowded that morning, they could not find 3 empty places together. So Pa went forward to sit with the graybeards in the Amen corner, while Laura and Mary sat side by side near the middle of the church. The graybeards in the Amen corner. I'm dying here. So, yes, the old guy. I'm going to go sit with the graybeards up front. The Amen corner. It's all the old guys. And I guess they would go, hey, Amen. You tell them. Yeah, say so. The Amen corner. Hysterical. Reverend Brown was preaching earnestly, and Laura was wishing there was so much sincerity he could say something interesting, when she saw a small, plump kitten straying up the aisle. Idly she watched it pounce and play till it wandered onto the platform and stood arching its back and rubbing against the side of the pulpit. As its round kitten eyes looked at the congregation, Laura believed she could hear its purring. Oh! Then, at her side in the aisle, a small dog passed, trotting briskly. It was a little black and tan, with slender legs and a perky short tail. And its quick, businesslike trot was natural to it. It was not seeking anyone or going anywhere, but merely sightseeing in the church, until it spied the kitten. What are people doing with the animals loose in the church? Leash your pet when you go to church. Good heavens. Uh-oh. For an instant, the little dog stiffened, then with firecracker explosion of shrill yaps, it leaped. The kitten's back rose in an arch, its tail swelled in a flash. It vanished from Laura's view. The strange thing was, it seemed to vanish utterly. There was no chase. The little dog was silent. Reverend Brown went on preaching. Laura barely had time to wonder when she felt a slight swaying of her hoops. And looking down, she saw the tip of the kitten's tail slide out of sight beneath the pink lawn ruffle. Okay, first of all, they got cats and dogs running loose in church. I'm like, what? Where is this church you go to with cats and dogs running loose? And then the kitten, because it's always more interesting to watch a cat. You know, the famous actress and acting teacher, Uta Hagen, very famous. One of the things she even said in her book was about a cat coming on stage and everyone's watching the cat instead of the actors. That your job as an actor is to try to be more interesting than the average American house cat. Because people are going to watch a cat or a dog because, they're unpredictable. So as an actor, you try to be unpredictable. Maybe they'll watch you. And Reverend Brown couldn't do that because they were all watching the cat. But the cat has disappeared, and where has the cat gone? The cat is up her dress. The cat is in her hoop skirts. That is hysterical. Okay, so she's got a cat up her dress now. Let's hope the dog doesn't find out. The kitten had taken refuge under her hoops, and now it began climbing up inside of them, clutching and clawing its way from wire to wire. Oh, this is insane. Laura felt an impulse to laugh, but she controlled it and sat solemn as a judge. Then the little dog passed anxiously, peering and sniffing in search of the kitten, and a sudden vision of what would happen if he found it made Laura shake from head to foot with suppressed laughter. I think she should shake her, get the kitten out of your dress. Don't sit there with the cat up your dress. She could feel her ribs swelling against her corsets and her cheeks puffing out and her throat choking. Mary did not know what amused Laura, but felt that she was laughing and pushed her elbow against Laura's side and whispered, "Behave yourself." What's she gonna say? "I have a cat up my dress." Good heavens. Laura shook all the harder and felt her face growing purple. Her hoops kept swaying under her skirts as the kitten cautiously crept down them again. Its little whiskered nose and eyes peeped from beneath the pink ruffle. Then, seeing nothing of the dog, it popped out suddenly and scampered down the aisle toward the door. Whew. Laura listened, but she heard no yapping, so she knew the kitten had escaped. On the way home, Mary said, "Laura, I am surprised at you. Will you never learn to behave yourself properly in church?" Laura laughed until she cried, while Mary still sat disapproving, and Pa wanted to know what had happened. "No, Mary, I never will," Laura said at last, wiping her eyes. "You might as well give me up as a hopeless case." Then she told them, and even Mary had to smile. She's like, "I had a cat up my skirt." Come on, people. Sunday dinner and the afternoon passed quietly in family talk, and when the sun was sinking, Mary and Laura took their last walk together on the top of the low hill to see the sunset. She's going back to college. Laura's going to get married. And already, they've kind of grown apart. Mary was like, "You're not marrying that old manzo boy, are you?" They're becoming such different people. They were so close. And now they're kind of like, "Who are you?" So, what are you going to do? "I never see things so well with anyone else," Mary said. "And when I come again, you will not be here." "No, but you will come to see me where I am," Laura answered. "There will be 2 homes for you to visit." "But these sunsets," Mary began, and Laura interrupted. "The sun will set on Almanzo's farm too, I hope," she teased. "There is no little hill there, but there are 10 whole acres of little trees. We shall walk among them, and you shall see them. There are cottonwoods, of course, but besides there are box elders and maples and willows. If they live, they will be a beautiful grove. Not just a windbreak around the house like Pa's, but a real little woods." "It'll be strange to see these prairies wooded," Mary said. "Everything changes," said Laura. Yes, they were silent a little while. Then Mary said, "I wish I could be at your wedding. Don't you want to put it off until next June?" "Oh, selfish much, Mary? I don't know, Mom." Slowly, Laura answered, "No, Mary. I'm 18 now, and I've taught 3 terms of school. That's one more than Ma taught. I don't want to teach anymore. I want to be settled this winter in our own home." "It would be just the ceremony anyway," she added. "Pa could not afford a wedding, and I would not want the folks to go to any expense. When you come back next summer, my house will be all ready for you to visit me in." "Laura," Mary said, "I'm sorry about the organ. If I had known. But I did want to see Blanche's home too, and it was near, and save Pa the cost of my railroad journey, and I didn't realize that anything would ever change here at home. I felt it was always here to come back to." See, that was that whole thing. They all went crazy and spent all that money and put in an organ. And she said, "Oh, I'm not coming home. I'm going to Blanche's house." I want to hang with her friends. But as the 2 of them are sort of hashing out here, Laura's like, things change. Everything changes. And Mary's saying it hadn't even occurred to her that things could be different, that they could be putting in an organ, that Laura could be getting married, that anything could be happening. It's just like, well, there's Ma and Pa and Laura and Carrie and Grace, and they're just going to be there in that same house. Everything exactly the same. They'll have my stuff. My room will be there. La, 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 la. And that's not what happened. And Laura's trying to break it to her that life moves on. And yay, woohoo, you're at college and you've moved on. But guess what? While you were moving on to college, we all moved on too. Everybody started doing other stuff. Yeah. And Mary's sort of going, wow, wait, I was at college and everybody else had a life? Very common problem. This is still today. People go off to college and go, wait, everybody didn't just sit perfectly still, like waiting for me to come back. Nope. So there Laura's going, it's okay, it'll be different, but it's okay. everything changes, like she said, yeah. So she's not putting off the wedding. And she's like, I felt it would always be there to come back to. It really is, Mary, Laura told her. And don't feel bad at all about the organ. Just remember what a nice time you had at Blanche's. I'm glad you went. Truly I am, and so is Ma. She said so at the time. Did she? Mary's face lighted. Then Laura told her what Ma had said of being glad that she was having good times while she was young to remember. The sun was sinking now, and she told how its glory of crimson and gold flamed upon the sky and faded to rose and gray. Let's go back to the house now, Mary said. I can feel the change in the air. They stood a moment longer, with hands clasped, facing the west. Then slowly they walked down the slope past the stable. Time passes so quickly now, said Mary. Do you remember when the winter was so long? It seemed that summer would never come. And then in the summertime, winter was so long ago, we almost forgot what it was like. Yes. And what good times we had when we were little, Laura answered. But maybe the times that are coming will be even better. You never know. That is the end of Sunset on the Hill. Tomorrow is Manly Monday. It's wedding plans. But that was a very heavy conversation those two girls just had, and very important. And Laura made several excellent points. It's still a common phenomenon now. Young people, as they grow up, you know, when you're a kid, yeah, everything's like, oh my God, summer is forever. Everything is forever. It's forever. It's forever. Whoa, no, I have to go back to school. That's not this. I'm never going back to school. Wait, summer vacation? When is summer vacation coming? Oh, it seems like forever and ever. Things, it's like, I mean, when I remember as a kid, I was 10, like forever. It was like years. and now it's like, yeah, I was 49 for like 3.5 seconds. And I'm 58, and I think I've been 58 for a couple of weeks, and bam, I'm going to be 59, like, before I know it. So it's crazy. And time does speed up as you age, and you first notice it when you become, like, a grown-up, like 18, 19. You start going, whoa, where'd everything go? And then you hit 30, and then you hit 40, and it's just... But Mary's starting to notice this, and a lot of people, even nowadays, will go off to college, and they come home, and they expect their parents and all their friends, the friends who didn't go with them, to live in the town, and their brothers and sisters to somehow magically have frozen in time while they're away. They come home for vacation, and they're like, your parents retired, or they got new jobs, or your kid sister grew up and has a boyfriend. What? What are you talking about? Aren't you 9? And it freaks them out. And even now, even when they're phoning each other and Facebooking. But imagine she goes to college and there's no phone. She's just writing letters every few days or weeks. And they're sending letters. So she's sort of keeping up. So months and months go by. And she comes home and she's like, when did you get money? What is this place? Why are you in a fancy house? There's an organ and you're all dressed up in nice stuff. What did I miss? When I left, you were all starving to death in a shack. So, yeah. And so it's really weird for her. She's like, can't believe. And when she left, Laura wasn't teaching school yet. She started teaching school. She was like just starting out talking about, oh yeah, she's going to get a job teaching. She's already gone up from 3rd to a 2nd grade level, almost 1st ranking teacher. She's taught 3 different schools, gotten really good with big classrooms now. Mary wasn't there for any of that. And when she left, Almanza was the dopey kid down the road. And Laura didn't even like boys. And she starts coming back for visits and buggy rides. So she comes home and Laura's getting married. She's a teacher. She's been teaching so long she's tired of it. And she's going off to get married and have children. And Mary's like, what just happened? Who are you marrying? What? And that's how fast stuff goes. It's crazy. And you can imagine when you think of how things move slowly then. You can and things move faster nowadays. It is. Things just whip along. And we find ourselves a lot. I mean, Melissa Gilbert was talking about it this morning on CBS this morning. Melissa Gilbert was saying that watching Little House reminds us of when back in the 70s when we were kids, those of us who were kids then, of, being kids then, how great it was. And then in the 70s when things weren't even that great because a recession and Watergate and the Vietnam War and everything else. little house was like, well, back in the olden days, we somehow made it. So we're nostalgic. Of course we are. But we look back and we look at what's happening now and we go, our lives are so hard. Well, it was better then. But as Laura said, or maybe the best days are ahead of us. You never know. And so she has a point, because as far as she knows, she's going to go marry Almanzo and it's going to be awesome. Well, it kind of is. And you don't know. Like right now, we're all sitting here going, how are we going to get out of this one? So you tell me we got this disease here and there's no cure and there's no vaccine and y'all don't even have a treatment. But that's today. That's today. Next month, oh, well, we found this here pill. And we don't know. So hang in there. Hang in there. Do not give up. Do not give up. As Laura said, good days could be in front of us. We don't know. So wash your little hands. Wear your little mask. Fix your hair. Don't sit around all day in your pajamas. Get up. Take a shower. Throw something on. Go through your closet. Find the cool blouse that you haven't worn in like months. Like, oh, I didn't even know I had this. Yeah. Bake some cookies. Bake some cookies. Make some Jell-O. Things are going to get better. Things are going to get better. We don't know when, but things can get better. Anything can happen. So there you are. So take care of each other and put on your little mask and wash your little hands. And tomorrow is Monday, and it'll be Manly Monday. Oh, tomorrow is also National French Fry Day. Yay. National Beans and Franks Day and National Delaware Day. French fries. And Almanzo will be here, Dean Butler, and he will be reading about getting married, and it will be freaking awesome. And then it'll be Tuesday, and I'll